Revelation 2241. From the 22nd of February 1942. Overcoming resistance. Feeding power, good or evil. All success is based on overcoming resistance, and thus the soul can also only develop upwards if it masters the resistance that is put in its way by the opposing power. Without resistance there is no development of power and therefore also no further development. For the latter is synonymous with increased strength, that is an increase in that which is the original substance of all spiritual. The spiritual can only mature in itself through union with the same spiritual, thus strength must be increased through the influx of strength. But the latter must be requested, that is through the will to resist. The being must keep itself ready to receive this influx, which is never denied to it. Willingness to receive is also the believing prayer which the human being sends up to God full of trust, for then he opens his heart to every influx of grace, which always means an influx of strength for him. Prayer is the most successful resistance insofar as the human being asks for strength from God for his struggle, that he, so to speak, lets him defeat the resistance and yet matures his soul through this very grant of grace. The human being acquires this through his will, which strives towards God and is accepted by God's love, thus the prayer is answered. The human being will by no means need to fear that his request will not be granted if he presents his hardship to him with utmost faith, if he admits his lack of strength to him and appeals for increase. If he is willing to resist and only feels too weak to do so, then God will certainly grant him his assistance. He will take care of his weakness and the soul's success will not fail to materialize. However, the human being will never be able to overcome the resistance given to him on his own. But he can certainly also be supported by the adversary, but then the will for God will never dominate people. Instead, the will for opposing power will be clearly recognizable in the worldly attitude of the one to whom nothing seems to be insurmountable. God's adversary equips him with strength because he is in bondage to him, and therefore the person who is apostate to God and obviously turned towards the adversary is often able to achieve great things or overcome the greatest opposition, for his strength is likewise increased, yet not for the progress of the soul but for the increase of what is beneficial for the body, which always means a spiritual step backwards. He certainly has apparent success, that is material success, but spiritually he becomes increasingly powerless, for he turns away from the original source of strength and therefore cannot be permeated by it either. Without the supply of strength from God, however, there is no progress but only a spiritual decline, that is ever increasing distance from God. Amen.